Hello buzzers, John here, and I wanted in this video to introduce you to the wonderful world of painting with light. Now, the traditional way of doing this is just to take a long exposure and sort of wave a light source around the scene to get the effect you want. But there's a more controlled way of doing it in this digital age, and that's by locking off your camera on a tripod and then taking several shots of the same subject without moving the camera and doing different lighting effects on each one. You can then blend them all together using layers in Photoshop and get really surprising shots that involve a riot of color. What we're going to do first of all is start in Bridge, which is supplied free with Photoshop. And in Bridge, you can see here, I've loaded up my shots. I've taken 6 different shots of a glass on a table. Now this first one here is side lit. This one is front lit. This one is side lit as well. This has got a little swirl from a mag light. This one is some string lights behind the subject, and this one here is using string lights but dragging them around through the frame and around the subject to give all these streaks and swishes. Now the exposure settings are pretty much the same on every shot. If you go for about 8 seconds at f11 ISO 100 and use a regular incandescent mag light, just an AA pen light torch, and a set of battery-operated string lights, you should get pretty consistent exposures throughout. You can always check your screen and tweak the settings if need be. Once you've got your shots all together, the important thing is that your camera does not move, not even slightly, during each shot. So you need to set your exposure in manual mode and then just dial in f11, 8 seconds, 100 ISO, and make sure it's the same for every single shot. Your focus point doesn't want to change either, so focus manually on your subject, and you'll also need to use the self-timer to trigger your camera so you can get your torch or your string lights in position to do your light painting when the shutter fires. Once you've got a bunch of shots, you may just have 3, you may have 10, you may have 20, but all you need to do is select the best takes of each example and then select them all in Bridge. And to select them, all you got to do is click on them, hold down the Control or Command key, and just click on each one that you want to use all together so you have them all selected. And they'll appear over in the preview pane. So I've got 6 shots here, and what I want to do is combine them all into Photoshop in a layers stack. Now to do this, once you've got them all selected and highlighted in Bridge, just go up to Tools, down to Photoshop, and across to Load Files into Photoshop Layers. Click on that, and then automation will take over and all the shots will be loaded up, and the good news is they'll all line up automatically because your camera didn't move between each shot. This can take a little bit of time depending on the resolution of your camera and the processing power of your computer, but before long you'll get them all stacked together. And to see your layers stack, just pop up to Window and pop down and select Layers from the list, though your Layers panel may already be up on screen. So here they all are. We can look at them all individually by switching the eye icons on and off. There's the top one, there's the next 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 one. So you can see there, they're all lined up. We can just click on them individually and see them all separately. But if you click on the top layer to make sure it's active, then hold the Shift key and click on the bottom layer, you get them all selected at once. And that means you can apply a blend mode to all of the layers in one go. So to do that, click where it says Normal and then choose Lighten or Screen. One of the two will work well. Lighten's normally the best option, so choose Lighten from the list, click on that, and all your light paintings are blended together. What you can now do is act like your own lighting director, and you can switch them on or off depending on which ones you want to use. And you may decide that you've got too much on one particular thing, not enough on another, but you can actually compose and design the lighting you want to use, effectively the same as switching the torch light on and off on those individual shots. Now in this example, I'm going to use the whole lot, but I want to do some more tweaks to it to change the color. So we've got our nice streak here, this sort of a circular motion of the maglite bulb being exposed and being kind of rotated around the subject. I want to change that to a different color. So to do that, I'm just going to click on the layer involved, and that's this one here. So if I click on that and isolate it so it's individually highlighted and selected, what I can now do is do some color changes. So to make the color changes, I'm going to click down here. Let me just collapse the layers palette a bit. I'm going to click down here on the adjustment layer icon and I'm going to choose Hue Saturation from the list. This brings up my Hue Sat palette, and what I want to do is clip this layer. It's important to clip it because if I don't clip it, it will affect every single layer underneath it, and I only want it to affect this layer it's attached to. So to clip it, you just click on this icon here. That clips it, and you'll see the layer itself, the adjustment layer, jump over to the right. Or if you don't want to do that, you can hold down the Alt key and just click on the line between the layers, and that does exactly the same thing. That clips the layer to the one immediately beneath and doesn't affect the other layers as well. So now we've got our hue saturation adjustment layer in place, all we have to do is move the hue slider to change the color of the torch light. So if I move it to the left, we get these nice blue tones. If I move it to the right, we go through towards the green tones. And I quite like that lurid, garish green. So I'm going to leave it there and leave that green hue as the color for my swirl of light. Now you're not restricted to just one layer, you can change any of the colors on any of the layers using exactly the same process. But I'll show you a quick trick to speed things up. Let's say for example you want to use this color, this background swirl of string lights. All you need to do is make sure your hue saturation adjustment layer is selected and active, then hold down the Alt key and drag the hue sat adjustment layer down to the layer you want to change. Release it there and you'll see that is applied. Exactly the same color and the same settings are applied to this adjustment layer. You then need to clip it, so remember how to do that. You can just click on the clip icon, or you can hold Alt and click on the line between the layers, and that sets that same green color as this background layer. Only this time I don't want green, I think a nice blue would work well. So all we have to do is pop across to the hue saturation palette and we can move it to any color we like. And I'll go across, let's get that nice sort of a cyan-y blue color in there. And that sets a different color for that particular layer. And of course you can go through as many of these as you like. You can change all the colors if you want to, or just change a few of them. But what you end up with is a really exciting image, all made from 6 separate shots using different lighting effects. You may still want to tweak and adjust your lighting, or you might even want to change the opacity of some of the lights. You can just dim them down and operate as though you're running the faders on a lighting board, and you can mix up the exact effect you want. But by following this process with a locked-off camera, you can get really colorful, really exciting pictures from everyday items that you wouldn't normally bother to take a shot of. One important thing, when you're taking your shots, make sure your room is dark. So do it at night with the curtains drawn, and you should be fine. Alright, hope you enjoy the process of painting with light and blending your images together in the Layers panel. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.